I arrived at my house and my heart almost stopped. My house was destroyed, just shattered into pieces, a pile of boards and debris. Standing nearby was her Karen, the self-absorbed head of the local HOA, directing the movers where to load the valuable items from my house. What are you doing, Karen?
Your ugly house was irritating our community, so I got rid of this ridiculous structure,
she said, with a vicious look on her face. And that was just the beginning. This story turned into a nightmare for everyone. Let me explain everything in order. I built a small, cozy cabin on my Riverside property, a wooden deck where I could fish and spend weekends with friends. It was my place of solitude, my paradise. That was until a new HOA president, Karen, took over our neighborhood. Karen hated anything that didn't fit her idea of a perfect neighborhood. She claimed my cabin ruined the overall aesthetic, even though it was on my private land, far from any neighbors. She sent me several letters demanding I tear it down, but I just threw them in the trash. Then she decided to take matters into her own hands. One weekend, I arrived at my cabin, only to find it completely destroyed. Just a pile of wood and debris. Luckily, a neighbor had recorded everything. Karen had hired a crew and a bulldozer to demolish my cabin and even ordered my valuables to be taken to her house. I was furious. This wasn't just a cabin, it was my second home, my sanctuary. I called the police, but they claimed it was a civil dispute and advised me to sue. But I knew that would take years. I needed revenge. That evening, I followed Karen as she returned home. Pretending I had come to my senses and wanted to discuss the situation, I invited her over. Karen, we need to have a serious talk. I realize I was wrong. I lied, holding the door open for her.
Oh, so you finally understand that the neighborhood should look respectable?
She smirked as she stepped inside. I want to show you something in my basement. It should help your HOA. As soon as she walked in, I swiftly led her down the stairs and slammed the door shut.
What the hell? Open this door right now.
Her voice echoed off the walls. Stay there for a day, Karen. Think about how I felt when I saw my home in ruins, I said, leaving her with only a mattress and a bottle of water. She screamed, demanded, but I just turned up the music. The next morning, I opened the door. Karen looked exhausted and barely stood on her feet.
You're insane. I'm suing you.
Great, and I'll upload the footage of you illegally demolishing my home, I grinned. Looks like we understand each other now. But she wasn't going to give up. A few days later, I woke up to strange noises outside. Stepping out, I saw a cement truck pouring concrete all over my yard.
Did you think this was over?
Karen shouted from a distance, a devilish grin on her face.
Enjoy your new parking lot, asshole.
I ran to the workers trying to stop them, but they just shrugged.
We were paid. We have permits. No violations here.
The cement kept flowing, covering my garden, lawn, flower beds. You've lost your damn mind, I yelled, but Karen just laughed.
No, you thought you could mess with me. Consider this my gift to you.
She cackled, watching with pure delight. The next day, I woke up to even more noise. From the window, I saw a crew of workers tearing down my fence. Karen was standing nearby, watching the process with her arms crossed over her chest. Are you serious? I ran out into the yard.
Of course, your fence doesn't meet HOA standards. Now you have a beautiful view of the street. Thank me later.
My fence fell to the blows of the machinery, leaving my yard open to everyone. Karen, you've crossed the line, I hissed.
Oh, really? Did you think about that when you locked me in the basement? You started a war, and I'm gonna win it.
But she was wrong. I called the police. This time, I had proof of her vandalism, and now I was the one laughing last. Karen stood on her doorstep, confident that she'd get away with everything again. When the police car pulled up to my house, she smugly crossed her arms.
Oh, are you here to complain again? What a waste of time.
I silently played the video on my phone, footage from the security cameras, showing Karen standing next to the cement truck, smirking while my yard was flooded with cement. Then came shots of her workers demolishing my fence. The officers watched carefully, and Karen's smug expression shifted to one of fear.
This is all a lie. That That's edited. He forged everything.
The officer, a middle-aged man with a stony expression, raised an eyebrow.
We have witnesses. Several neighbors confirmed they saw you at the scene.
Karen got nervous, glancing around as if looking for support, but no one was eager to help her. Even her HOA friends preferred to stay away.
This was a public project. We were just improving the neighborhood.
By destroying private property? You overstepped HOA's authority. This is vandalism and trespassing.
But he...
Karen threw up her hands but immediately stopped, realizing there was no way out.
You've been fined for illegally destroying private property and ordered to compensate for the damages. Additionally, due to numerous complaints, you are banned from holding any position in the HOA.
I couldn't help but smile as I watched Karen turn pale.
This is unfair. He locked me in the basement.
The officer looked at her with undisguised skepticism.
And yet no one saw you being kidnapped. But the destroyed fence and the cement-covered yard are very real evidence.
Karen trembled with rage. She opened her mouth to say something else but realized it was pointless.
You must pay the fine within 2 weeks. Otherwise, legal action will follow,
the officer added. When the police left, Karen stood still for a couple of minutes before abruptly turning and disappearing into her house. I just smirked, knowing that justice had finally prevailed. The court session was short but intense. I stood before the judge with a folder full of evidence. Photos of the destroyed house, camera footage, neighbor testimonies, receipts for yard repairs. Karen sat across from me, arms crossed, shooting angry glares at me.
Mr. Williams, do you have anything to add?
The judge asked, flipping through the papers. Everything is in front of you, Your Honor. I nodded. Karen Peterson not only illegally destroyed my property, but she also systematically harmed me, ignoring any laws or norms. The judge sighed heavily and turned to Karen.
Miss Peterson, do you have anything to say in your defense?
Karen jumped to her feet.
This is all lies and manipulation. This man locked me in the basement, and now he's trying to portray himself as the victim. He's dangerous, and I was just looking out for the neighborhood.
The judge slammed the gavel.
Enough. The basement issue has already been addressed. Now we're talking about your vandalism. Do you have anything to say about the case?
Karen nervously adjusted her blazer sleeves but remained silent.
In that case, based on the evidence presented, the court rules.
He paused, and I noticed Karen clenching her fists.
In favor of the plaintiff, Mr. Williams will receive compensation for the destroyed house, the fence, and the yard restoration. Additionally, Miss Peterson is fined the amount of...
The judge named the sum, and Karen turned pale.
You are also prohibited from holding any position in the HOA.
Karen jumped to her feet.
This is unfair. This pathetic loser ruined my life.
No, Miss Peterson. You ruined it yourself.